I want you to close your eyes for a second and just, picture the scene. It's June 19th, 2026.
Oh, a date a lot of fans won't be forgetting anytime soon.
Definitely not. So you are standing inside the San Francisco Bay Area's Levi's Stadium, right alongside 68,827 screaming fans.
That's a massive crowd.
Yeah, the energy is electric. And down on the pitch, you are witnessing one of the most statistically bizarre and really historically significant matches of the 2026 World Cup, Turkey's 1-0 defeat to Paraguay.
The raw numbers from this game, they just fundamentally break how we understand football. I mean, you look at the post-match data, and your brain just cannot compute how that final scoreline is physically possible.
Right, given what actually happened on the grass.
Exactly. It makes no sense.
And that is our mission for today's deep dive. We are going to figure out how a team can do everything right and still have it all spectacularly fall apart.
That's the ultimate football mystery.
It really is. And we've brought in a massive stack of sources for this. We are pulling from detailed match reports, in-depth tactical analyses of the team structures, and transcripts from raw YouTube fan channels.
We've even got a curated list of top football podcasts in there just to see exactly how the fans are trying to digest this result.
Because a match of this magnitude, it forces us to ask fundamental questions about the mechanics of the sport. The fallout extends way past the final whistle.
It really does. It's a psychological case study at this point.
Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever meticulously planned a project, executed every single step perfectly on paper, and still watched the whole thing spectacularly fail?
Oh, yeah. More times than I'd like to admit.
Well, that is basically the essence of Turkey's performance here, because structurally, their setup going into this game was universally praised by the analysts.
Right. We have to look at the blueprint laid out by Turkey's head coach, Vincenzo Montella. The tactical breakdowns highlight that Montella set the team up in a highly fluid 4-2-3-1 formation. But the real engine of this system was their build-up play, which relied on what they call a 3+1 structure.
Wait, I hear 3+1 structure, and I immediately picture a math equation, not a football formation.
Yeah, it does sound pretty academic.
I mean, if I'm a midfielder intentionally dropping back toward my own goal, aren't I just taking away an attacking option further up the pitch?
Well, it seems counterintuitive, right? But dropping that midfielder back alongside the two center backs creates this really stable three-man foundation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and it manipulates the opponent's pressing scheme.
Okay.
Instead of facing a flat line of two defenders, the opposition now has to commit an extra forward to press that three-man line.
Which creates space elsewhere.
Exactly. That overcommitment opens up passing lanes in the midfield. And crucially, that three-man base acts as a launch pad. It gives both fullbacks the structural security to push aggressively high up the pitch.
Which brings us to the fullback Ferdi Kadıoğlu. The tactical reports really single out his role here, but he wasn't just running up and down the touchline, right? He was playing as an inverted fullback.
Yeah, he was. So instead of hugging the sideline, Kadıoğlu drifted inward, cutting directly into the center of the midfield.
Right.
And when a fullback does this, it triggers absolute chaos for a defensive line. The opposing winger has to make a split-second decision. Do I track him inside and abandon my zone, or do I let him go and give Turkey a numerical overload in the middle of the park?
A total nightmare for the defense.
Exactly. And most of the time, Kadıoğlu dragged those defenders inside with him. That specific movement completely isolated the winger, Kenan Yıldız, out wide.
Giving Yıldız just vast amounts of one-on-one space to attack his defender.
Precisely.
And while that organized chaos is happening on the flanks, you've got Arda Güler operating as a free, floating number 10. The reports emphasize that Güler had a license to roam, basically finding those tiny pockets of space between Paraguay's midfield and defensive lines.
He was designed to be the ghost in the machine.
Wow, yeah, exploiting all the gaps created by the inverted fullbacks.
On the whiteboard, I mean, it is a masterclass in spatial manipulation. You've got numerical superiority in the center, isolated wingers on the edge, a floating playmaker, and just total ball control.
It sounds unstoppable.
It does. And the tactical framework did exactly what it was designed to do. It generated an unprecedented volume of high-quality chances.
But then we hit the harsh reality of the statistics. Over the course of 2 World Cup matches, their prior 2-0 loss to Australia and this 1-0 loss to Paraguay-Turkey registered 62 attempts at goal without scoring.
It's just staggering to even hear that out loud.
62! That is a World Cup record. The most efforts at goal without scoring in any 2-match span in the history of the competition.
And the microstats from just the Paraguay game paint an even clearer picture. Turkey recorded 50 touches inside the opposition box.
50.
Yeah, 50. Their expected goals, or XG, climbed to 2.12. Their captain, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, fired off 6 shots all by himself.
Oh, man.
And you can't forget Mert Müldür. He had a header in the 35th minute from a set-piece routine that struck the crossbar, deflected down onto the post, and somehow stayed out.
Unbelievable.
And, to be fair, you also have to credit Paraguayan goalkeeper Orlando Gil, who made a string of really crucial saves.
Wait, 50 touches in the opponent's box and an XG over 2? That's like breaking into a bank vault, holding the gold in your hands, and then just walking out empty-handed?
That is a perfect analogy, yeah.
I mean, how does a team with such a sound structural framework completely fail at the final hurdle? Is there a mechanical explanation for why highly trained professionals suddenly just, forget how to shoot?
Well, what's fascinating here is the sheer physiological breakdown that occurs when psychological pressure overrides tactical execution.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure. In sports science, this is often described as choking. But mechanically, it's about how the brain processes motor skills. Striking a football cleanly is a highly automated subconscious process for these players.
Like muscle memory.
Exactly. But as the clock ticks down and the frustration mounts, the prefrontal cortex, which is the conscious overthinking part of the brain, it takes over.
Ah, so instead of just letting muscle memory take the shot, they start consciously trying to control the mechanics of their swing.
Precisely. They start micromanaging their own limbs. They lean back a fraction of an inch too far, or they tense their ankle milliseconds before impact.
Wow.
Tactics can manipulate the opposition to give you a clear sight of goal, but the system cannot override a player's nervous system. As the match progressed, you could visibly see the tactical fluidity morph into just rigid desperation.
If that statistical paradox wasn't enough to digest, we have to look at the massive advantage Turkey was handed right before halftime. This variable makes their inability to score even more bewildering.
It really is the turning point of the game.
Yeah. In the 45+3 minute, Paraguay's Miguel Almirón is shown a straight red card.
Right.
But it wasn't for a reckless tackle or a violent foul. He was sent off for covering his mouth.
Yeah, Almirón was engaged in a very heated confrontation with Turkey's Mert Müldür. And as they were arguing, Almirón partially covered his mouth with his hand to conceal what he was saying.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The referee on the pitch, Ivan Barton, didn't initially send him off. VAR intervened specifically to flag the physical act of covering the mouth.
That's right. The VAR room reviewed the incident, Barton went to the pitchside monitor, and history was made. This was the first time we've seen this enforced at a World Cup.
It falls under a new IFA regulation that has colloquially been dubbed the Vinicius Rule, right?
Exactly.
The sources outline that this rule strictly prohibits players from covering their mouths with their hands, arms, or jerseys during confrontational exchanges. The goal is to eradicate hidden abuse or unsporting conduct that the referee can't hear, ensuring transparency for the cameras.
The governing bodies are essentially mandating that if you are in an altercation, your speech must be visible.
So you can't hide behind your hand anymore.
Right. Almirón either forgot the new directive in the heat of the moment or he just ignored it and he was dismissed.
This raises a fascinating philosophical question for you as a listener. Does this level of hyper-surveillance kill the natural heat and the psychological warfare of competitive sports?
It's a huge debate right now.
I mean, we're penalizing the physical act of trying to have a private conversation on the pitch. Or, on the flip side, is it a completely necessary evolution to ensure transparency and protect players in a modern sporting environment?
Well, it drastically alters the behavioral dynamic between professionals. The pitch has historically operated as an isolated environment where trash talk and intimidation were fundamental tools.
Right, mind games.
Exactly. But now, the cameras operate as surrogate lip readers. Players are stripped of a mechanism they've used for decades to unsettle opponents or even communicate tactical adjustments secretly during a dead ball.
Which is wild. So you go into the locker room at halftime, and if you are Turkey, you hold all the cards. You have total tactical dominance. You are creating endless chances, and now you have a man advantage for the next 45 minutes.
You literally just need to convert.
Yet they couldn't. To understand why, we have to pivot to Gustavo Alfaro, Paraguay's coach. He engineered one of the most grueling defensive masterclasses in recent tournament history.
It was heroic. Paraguay finished the match with just 22% possession.
How do you even survive playing a man down for an entire half when the opponent is holding the ball for almost 80% of the game? It can't just be packing players into the penalty box.
No, It requires an agonizing level of coordinated spatial awareness. Alfaro reorganized his remaining 10 men into a hyper-compact block.
Okay.
The mechanics of a low block require the entire team to shift side to side in unison with the ball, constantly denying space.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. He also issued incredibly demanding tracking assignments. To neutralize Arda Güler, Alfaro deployed a rotating cage.
A rotating.
Yeah, Andres Cubas, Diego Gomez, and Matias Galarza essentially passed Güler off between their respective zones. They would instantly collapse on him the moment he received the ball.
Wow.
And simultaneously, they maintained double marking duties on Kenan Yildiz to shut down those isolated one-on-ones we talked about earlier.
That brings us to Matias Galarza, who really embodies the emotional and physical core of this defensive stand. The narrative arc for this player in this match is just incredible.
It's the stuff of legends, honestly.
He scores the game's only goal, a strike from outside the box, just 65 seconds after the opening whistle, making it the fastest goal of the tournament.
He provides that initial euphoria. But after the red card, his role shifts entirely from creator to destroyer.
Right.
He spends the second half throwing his body into endless physical duels, pressing, tackling, and covering ground for the missing man.
It's like a marathon runner sprinting the first mile to take the lead and then somehow maintaining a dead sprint for the next 25 miles while carrying a backpack.
Yeah.
I have to ask, at what point does pure human will override tactical theory?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you're looking at the absolute limits of human physiology. We analyze XG and passing networks all day long, but at a certain point, a player's body starts shutting down.
The tank is empty.
Exactly. Lactic acid floods the muscles. The brain's central governor theory kicks in, actively sending pain signals to force the body to stop exerting itself. Galarza wasn't executing a tactical system in those final minutes.
No.
No, he was fighting his own biology to protect the lead.
And the match reports and the YouTube fan transcripts capture his final moments on the pitch so vividly. In the 91st minute, his body just gave out.
Yeah, he couldn't take any more.
He took a heavy challenge, sank into the turf, and his legs physically would not allow him to stand back up. He was stretchered off in tears, completely exhausted, and replaced by Jose Canal.
It is the ultimate physical sacrifice.
And it paid off. They held the 1-0 lead.
They did. But, you know, when the final whistle blows on a result like this, the trauma doesn't stay confined to the stadium.
Oh, definitely not.
A collapse of this magnitude, 0 points, 0 goals, and mathematical elimination after 2 matches, it triggers an immediate and severe reaction throughout the entire football ecosystem.
The media fallout in Turkey was absolutely blistering. Prominent sports columnists like Candace Tolga Ishik absolutely dismantled the team's performance.
Oh, it was brutal.
The sources note he explicitly rejected the excuses about passing accuracy and touches in the box. He called the outcome shameful and labeled this squad the worst side in the tournament's history.
And the pressure on the touchline was palpable. Vincenzo Montella actually picked up a yellow card in the 63rd minute, purely from his frantic reactions on the sideline.
He was feeling it.
Oh, yeah. In his post-match press conference, he was deeply emotional, defending his commitment to the nation. He stated he felt more Turkish than some people trying to create chaos and harm Turkey.
That media storm doesn't exist in a vacuum, though. Our source detailing fan engagement points to a massive secondary industry of punditry that just thrives in these moments.
Absolutely.
We are talking about top football podcasts like The Totally Football Show, Football Ramble, and Guardian Football Weekly.
These platforms are critical to the modern fan experience. Because when a sporting tragedy occurs, you have millions of people harboring massive amounts of unresolved emotional energy.
They need cognitive processing.
Exactly. These podcasts dissect the tactical failures and the drama, providing hours of analysis. It basically functions as a form of communal grief processing for fans who are trying to make sense of a statistical anomaly.
It translates an isolated feeling of frustration into a shared narrative. Hearing an expert articulate why the 3+1 buildup failed to produce a goal validates the fans' anger and confusion.
It makes them feel less crazy for being so upset.
Right, so what does this all mean? I have to ask you, is that level of blame directed at Vincenzo Montella actually fair? I mean, if my manager implements a system that successfully gets me 50 touches in the opponent's box, he has objectively done his job.
That's a great point.
So why does the media give the players a pass for simply failing to click the ball into the net while the manager gets called shameful?
It highlights a brutal truth about management in international football. The manager serves as the ultimate symbol of the team's identity.
The lightning rod.
Yes, you can draw the perfect architectural blueprint, but if the builders continually drop the bricks, the house still falls down.
Right.
However, the ecosystem demands accountability, and you cannot fire an entire squad of 26 players. So the blame inevitably flows upward to the figurehead.
He takes the fall.
He takes the fall for a bizarre sequence of historical anomalies, because that is the implicit contract of managing a national team.
As we bring this deep dive to a close, this match stands as a profound case study. It illustrates how perfect planning, achieving optimal tactical structure, dominating possession, and holding a massive systemic advantage like a red card from a brand new rule can still result in absolute failure.
It was completely derailed by the unpredictable breakdown of human composure under pressure. And, of course, the unyielding physiological willpower of a defensive unit fighting for survival.
Think about how often in your own life you've had a plan that looked absolutely flawless on paper. The math added up, the strategy was thoroughly vetted, but it was completely upended by the messy, unpredictable human element.
Happens all the time.
You simply cannot spreadsheet human desperation. You cannot calculate the exact biological moment a player like Matias Galarza decides to push his body until his muscles physically fail him.
And really, the human element is the only reason the games are actually played. Otherwise, we would just run statistical simulations and award the trophy to the team with the highest expected goals.
Which would be terribly boring. Before we sign off, I want to leave you with a provocative thought regarding that historic IFAB Vinicius rule. If VAR is now effectively acting as an eye in the sky, policing speech by penalizing players for covering their mouths during a confrontation, how long until the players adapt?
Oh, that's a wild thought.
Right. Are we approaching an era where athletes will literally have to start wearing physical face masks on the pitch just to communicate tactical secrets or vent their raw frustrations?
You can see it.
Or will the pitch become a completely silent, sanitized workspace where human expression is just suppressed out of the fear of an automatic red card?
It's definitely something to think about.
It's a wild concept to consider. You have the perfectly sterile, highly surveilled project on one side and the chaotic, emotional reality of human nature on the other. And sometimes, despite 62 shots and 50 touches inside the box, the vault stays locked and you walk away with nothing but questions.